Hello, everyone. Adrian Groenewald, Me Vision Academy. Privileged to be with you and to hand a Successful Leader Award to a very special leader today. Just very quickly, we are mobilizing successful leaders according to countries and sectors or industries and levels across the world, therefore. And we are also mobilizing emerging leaders, the future leaders. And inside this ecosystem, we are trying to transform leadership standards from various angles. It's a wonderful vision. It's a great privilege to be part of that. But what I really enjoy is meeting successful leaders and giving them this award and then asking them what successful leadership is all about. And I'm going to ask our guest today. I've got Nicola Tyler. She's founder of Transform Differently and CEO of the Thinking Company. Also, over the years, Business Results Group for many years, and been involved with leaders and guiding them strategically and from a leadership perspective for many, many years. She was nominated by Dr. Louise van Rijn as a successful leader. So, Nicola, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Adrian.
So I'm going to jump straight into it before we ask the question. An award in recognition of successful leadership to Nicola Tyler for at least the following. We try and put some personal elements on here. Leading a purpose-driven life. We'll ask about that a little bit later. Successfully leading the Business Results Group since 2002, and then the other organizations and momentums that you've launched. And also fostering innovative thinking among leaders and organizations worldwide. Demonstrating your influence and leadership in fields of strategy and leadership development. Your unwavering commitment to growing future leaders. And it's my privilege to sign on behalf of Me Vision Academy. Our slogan is a journey to best self, and we believe that you've been on that journey and helped others to go on that journey. So, Nicola, a formal congratulations on the award.
Thank you. That's very, very special. And thanks to you and to Louise. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's our honor. Nicola, tell us what you think is the essence of successful leadership. I mean, not only what you've learned yourself, but you've worked alongside with and guided and sat in sessions with I'm sure autocratic leaders, inclusive leaders, all kinds of leaders for a long time.
Yeah, it's almost like I want to answer the question with a story rather than a sentence. I recall many years ago working with a brand new team. It was actually a division of Sanlam, and it was a new team, and the leader walked in the room. There were probably about 20 people, and he basically put the mandate on the screen and presented what the goal for this new business unit was, and quietly sat down, and I facilitated a 2-day strategy session. And I observed this leader walking the room, not interrupting, just quietly going and listening to each group as they were doing their workshops. And by the end of the 2 days, we had a fairly good strategy in place, and each of the teams presented what they thought they would do. And this leader stood up at the end of the workshop, and he said to his team, "Is that what you want?" And they said, "Yeah, that's what we want." He said, "Is that what you think you can do?" And they said, "Yep, that's what we think we can do." He said, "Then my job is to remove anything that gets in the way of you achieving those goals." And that was it. He barely said anything for 2 days. And I remember thinking, wow, that was pretty powerful. And they had a 2-year plan. This is what we thought we could do in 2 years. 12 months later, I got a phone call to say, would I go back and present at a conference for the same company? And this time, the group CEO was going to present to them. And I said, how come you're doing another review? They said, well, we've achieved our 2-year target in 12 months. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And I looked at the agenda, and this particular group CEO, his name was Johan, and they said, what do you think Johan's going to do? I said, I think he's going to double your target. They went, no, he's never going to do that. I said, I think he might. So as true as Bob made little apples, the agenda goes through, Johan steps up in front of me. And at that point, I remember doing something on thinking differently or on their agenda. And he stood up and he asked for a 2-year stretch target to be met. he basically doubled the target. And I was like, I knew that was going to happen. And it turned out the same leader, sort of the divisional head, basically then led his team on another journey. And in 2 years, that particular division achieved double their stretch target.
Oh,
And I often reflected on what did he do, because he appeared to be doing nothing. But what he was doing is he was backing his team. He'd got the right people in the room. He allowed them to craft their strategic objectives, what they would measure, what they would do. And he got that it was all about people. And they achieved their numbers because he knew he couldn't do that without them. And so I think if you put the essence of leadership into one word, it would be the P word, and it's not profit, it's people.
hmm. So I'm
Mm.
fascinated by that example. While he did hardly anything for 2 days at that stage, and this is years ago. Now you know more and you have more wisdom and experience and perspective and context. But did you think it was profound what he was doing, or did it only come together when he got up at the end and he said, "Is this what you want?"
So he was engaging with me for the 2 days, sort of saying, what do you think?
Mm,
But I was watching him closely, and I realized that he knew that he could only achieve that group mandate through people.
mm,
That was the only way he could do it. So for me, it was sort of an evolution of watching a leader in action. But because it was so considerable, particularly their success, is I've reflected on that many, many times. And even now, when I'm working with leaders, what I try and encourage the leaders that I work with to do is to empower their teams to do the thinking. And it seems to work, I won't say every time, but most times. And I just see it. I could tell another story, but just for the essence of time, I won't. But there's another leader, female leader, that I've worked with in the last probably 10 years. And watching her is just a gift. It's fantastic. It's like leadership is both an art and a science.
mm.
Science is knowing how to drive performance and results, and the art is getting how that gets done through people.
So people, and if you truly believe
Mhm.
in people, then you will allow them to buy into it, to
Yeah,
make it their own, I guess. And that was
yeah,
his way of doing it.
yeah. Both of them actually, and others. I could cite others, but I think it's people and performance, because you can't be all people and not get a result. So
Mm.
it's being able to drive the business result through a people agenda.
And
Mm.
there's a couple of other P's as well, aren't there? But people and performance, that's a very powerful balance. Thank you for that. Now, then just a little bit back to you. What's very important to us as leaders finding their purpose. And and
Mm.
I have a feeling, I don't know, you told me or someone told me, but that you believe in that very strongly. Have you found your purpose as a human being on this planet?
I think I have been one of the luckiest people in terms of my career, because I think I discovered it at quite a young age. And what actually happened was I was sent on a seminar in Johannesburg at, I think it was the Braamfontein Hotel. Oh, no, 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 wait a minute. It was the Rosebank Hotel, yeah, all those years ago. And the presenter was presenting on goal setting. And she literally spent 2 hours or so talking about values, goals, and action, and how these aligned, and how you can unleash the greedy little pig. And then you've got to set a plan. And if your goals and your values conflict, then your values are likely to prevail, etc. And at the end of 2 hours, one of the girls in the program put up her hand and she said, "What is a goal?" And I burst out laughing. It was like I couldn't, it was like, were you just in the room for the last 2 hours?
Hmm.
And I got the giggle. But as I got the giggles, because it was an inappropriate moment to laugh. I got all this attention, but I was literally sitting at the back in the furthest corner, hoping no one would spot me. And then at lunchtime, some of the girls sort of rallied around me because they're like, who's the girl that burst out laughing? So we're sitting at lunch and we were talking about goals and values. And somebody said, what would you want to do? And I said, I want her job, the presenter, not the girl that asked the question. And they said, why? I said, because I think if learning can be that exciting and engaging, that's something I'd like to be involved with. And this group of strangers, I've never seen these girls since, said to me, go for it. And so I literally wrote a letter to the seminar presenter. I wrote a letter to the organizers, which in those days were Whitehead Morris, and through a series of events got introduced and ended up working for Whitehead Morris Seminars, which in those days was the biggest seminar company in the country. And I just fell in love with the idea that learning could be fun and that there was a way to do it differently to the traditional system.
Mm.
So I'm a voracious adult learner, if there is such a thing. And I like being in both roles. I like being on the learning side. I like being a participant, and I like being on the leading side where maybe I'm curating or sharing. And obviously, as time has evolved, facilitating and helping other leaders do that.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure how you sum up a purpose. When I was thinking about it as you asked the question, it's almost like igniting thinking in others
Mhm.
for
Yeah,
the good, always
the,
for the good. Yeah.
the thinking company. And I remember years ago, you were also involved somehow with De Bono, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's also all about thinking, isn't it? So you've been in this
Yep.
space, this incredibly dynamic space for a long time. And thank you for helping leaders think their way through their strategy, think their way through their leadership, and helping us think today. I look forward to more conversations. Nicola, thank you for being a good leader in your space and impacting the world and following your purpose. And again, congratulations on the award.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adrian.